Have you ever tried to explain yourself? Over and over again, only to realize they never wanted to understand you in the first place. You spoke the truth. You chose your words carefully. But they didn't listen. They only heard what fit their own story. And what you're about to hear today might change the way you see every explanation you've ever made forever. This is the story of a man who learned that lesson the hard way. In a quiet village, nestled between rolling green hills and slow, whispering rivers lived a man named Thomas Gray. Thomas was a lantern maker, not rich, not powerful. Just a simple craftsman who lit the darkness for others. His lanterns didn't just shine. They comforted, they guided. They gave people a sense of safety. He was patient, gentle. Kind people admired his work. But not all of them respected the man behind it. Right across from his small shop lived Mr. Clark, the village tax collector. Proud, cold, always watching and always ready to judge. He often accused Thomas in public, claiming he was cheating his customers, charging more than his lanterns were worth. That weak little light of yours. Clark sneered in the crowded marketplace. It's not even worth the money you're asking. And no matter how calmly Thomas tried to explain, it was never enough. Thomas forced a smile and tried again. He explained the cost of pure glass, the rare oil, and the steady hands behind every single flame. But Clark never truly listened. He just smirked, turned his back, and left Thomas standing there, feeling smaller each time. Days slipped into months, and Thomas kept talking, defending, explaining, proving. But then something strange began to happen. The more he spoke, the faster the rumors spread. Thomas is greedy, whispers echoed through the village. He's hiding money, lying to everyone. Every word he used to defend himself came back twisted, sharper and more painful until one night, sitting alone by a fading fire, Thomas stared at the trembling light of his lanterns. Why can't they see the truth? He murmured. Why do I have to keep proving who I am? And deep down inside, he felt exhausted. Then one morning, the quiet village square suddenly filled with noise. A traveler had arrived. An old monk walking slowly through the hills. People gathered around him, eager for guidance, hungry for answers. Exhausted, confused, and quietly breaking inside. Thomas finally approached the monk. He waited until the crowd faded, then spoke in a low, almost trembling voice. Sir, I've done everything right. I've been honest, Top. I've never cheated anyone. But no matter how much I explain, they twist every word I say. He paused, the weight of frustration heavy in his chest. What do I have to do to make them understand me? The monk looked at him long and deeply, then gave a calm, knowing smile. Tell me something, he said gently. If a man insists the sky is green, what color is it to him? Thomas hesitated. He would still see it as green. The monk nodded slowly. And can your words change his eyes? Thomas lowered his head. No, they can't. The monk gently placed a hand on his shoulder. Then stop wasting your voice on those who have already chosen not to see. A quiet pause. Let your work speak. Let your life answer. His voice softened even more. Silence is not weakness, my son. It is strength wrapped in peace. And with that, he walked away, leaving Thomas standing still, But something inside him had changed. For the first time in a long while, his mind became quiet, as if a fire that had been burning for months had finally gone out. From that day on, everything changed. Thomas stopped explaining, stopped defending, stopped seeking approval. When people accused him, he simply smiled. When Mr. Clark mocked him in public, Thomas bowed his head politely and said nothing. At first, the whispers grew even louder. "See, he has nothing left to say." Clark shouted proudly, but Thomas didn't react. He just kept working calm, focused, unshaken. Each lantern he crafted was made with greater care than ever before. Every evening, he lit them one by one and placed a single glowing lamp outside his shop, silent but undeniable. Night after night, that single lantern kept burning longer than any other. Stronger, steadier, and people began to notice. Travelers passing through the village would slow down, drawn to its quiet, comforting glow. They said it made the road feel safer, softer, almost alive. Word spread soon. Strangers from distant towns came, looking for Thomas's lanterns, not because of anything he said, but because of what his work revealed, without a single word. Then one evening, something unexpected happened. Mr. Clark walked into his shop. No arrogance, no loud accusations. Just a man holding on to his pride. He placed 3 coins on the table. "I need a lantern," he muttered. "For my porch." Thomas didn't react. No anger, no bitterness. He simply nodded, handed him a lamp, and said quietly, "It will serve you well." That was it. No defense, no explanation, only peace. Days later, as dusk settled over the village, people noticed something strange. Mr. Clark stood outside his home staring at the soft, steady flame of that very lantern. He didn't say a word, but his face said everything. For the first time, he saw what words had failed to show him, because truth doesn't need to shout. Weeks passed. Thomas's shop grew brighter than ever. He still spoke with kindness, but he never explained himself again. If people misunderstood him, he let them. If they doubted him, he simply smiled. His silence became his shield. His peace became his power. And one night, as he placed his lantern outside the door, a young boy looked up and asked, "Mr. Thomas, why do your lights shine so beautifully?" Thomas gazed at the flame for a moment, then answered softly, "Because I stopped wasting my fire, trying to light the darkness inside others." A quiet pause. "I keep it here where it truly belongs." The boy smiled, and under the deep, endless night sky, the lantern flickered warm, steady, and unshaken. Sometimes the strongest response is silence. When people are trapped inside their own beliefs, no explanation will ever reach them. And that's when silence becomes your power. You don't need to defend your truth to those who have already judged you. You don't need to open your heart to those who never cared to understand it, because real peace doesn't come from being understood. It comes from the moment you realize you no longer need to explain yourself at all. The moment you stop chasing approval, everything begins to change. A powerful shift. You feel lighter, freer, unburdened. You stop living for their acceptance and start living for your own peace. And in that quiet space, life finally feels real, calm, clear. Yours. If this story spoke to you, there are many more waiting for you. So don't just watch, be part of the journey. Subscribe to Inspirational Stories and step into a space where every story brings you closer to peace, strength, and self-discovery. Thank you for being here. Until next time, stay kind, stay calm, and never let your inner light fade.